Settings. Settings. Exit to main. Save game. Sandbikars. Logbox loyalty. Manual save. Fort saving. Save complete. Wand mask. Exit to main menu. Level 25.
Behind me! I promise! Get away from me! Come now, Annabelle! It was a long time ago! I automatically...
Lumos. Castle. Must have been quite stately in its time.
Are you ready to put an end to Harlow?
I'm ready to do what's needed to take Harlow down. I know you have a plan.
We must gather information from the friends of Mr. Bickle that Archie and Mrs. Bickle mentioned. Agabus Filbert, Otto Dibble, and Mr. and Mrs. Rabe.
All right.
I suggest that you speak with each of them while I head to the Hogshead. I saw some Ashwinders heading there. And as my mother would never go near the Hogshead, she is less likely to learn of my activities than if I were to wander the village questioning its residents.
I'll speak with Mr. Bickle's friends. What am I hoping to learn from them?
What sort of information am I trying to gather from these people?
They may know what evidence Mr. Bickle had against Harlow, or they may have evidence of their own. We simply need to know whatever they know.
I'll speak with Mr. Bickle's friends. Where can I find them?
Where am I to find these friends of his?
I do not know about Mr. Rabe, but his wife, Daisy, is often in Hogsmeade, as is Agabus Filbert. And Otto Dibble, he works at Gladrags, so you will likely find him there.
I'll speak with Mr. Bickle's friends.
Very well. I'll speak with them, see what I can learn.
I knew I could rely on you. We need to know how they are being blackmailed by Rookwood and Harlow. Meet me here after you have spoken with them. Hopefully, by the time you return, I will be able to move a bit more freely.
I met a girl once. Looked like an inferior.
Easier on my nerves than dogweed and death cap. Less poison and fewer spikes. authorities are for, they say. Try finding one.
Mrs. Rabe should be nearby.
Fostered such intense house rivalries. Still, does make for an exciting Quidditch season. When there is one. I dare say the most charming thing about Hogsmeade is its distinct lack of levels.
The first person I see is Percival Pippin.
trade from the Hogwarts students this year.
Thank goodness. We had to tutor all your children and be sorted.
Oh, Isco, what have I done?
Mrs. Rabe, I wondered if I might speak with you about Theophilus Harlow. I'm a friend of the Bickles and am trying to gather evidence against him.
Poor Joanna and little Archie. And now Harlow has taken my darling Isco.
What do you mean? Why?
I'm a security guard at Gringotts, and my husband is a curse breaker for them. Harlow approached me about helping him extort my colleagues into giving him treasures from the vaults.
And you declined?
Of course I declined. Repeatedly. I thought they'd given up, until I came home one night and found my husband gone, and a note affixed to my door with a knife. The note stated that I only had a few days to reconsider helping with some banking needs, and that my husband would appreciate it if I acted quickly. But the help Harlow wants is help that I cannot give, and my dearest Isco is paying the price.
That is what I needed. Does the note...
Are you sure the note means that your husband was kidnapped?
What else could it possibly mean? Besides, I came home to find that someone had trampled the daisies in our garden. It may sound silly, but those were Isco's pride and joy. He would never have let that happen.
That is what I needed. Why have you given Harlow any information about Gringotts?
Have you helped Harlow since your husband was taken?
No, I'm worried sick about Isco, but he'd never want me to compromise my integrity. I also know that he's extremely clever. That said, I was hoping he would have escaped by now. It makes me concerned as to why he hasn't.
That is what I needed. Why would Harlow take your husband and not you?
Why wouldn't Harlow extort your husband?
Isco's job is even more removed from the vaults than mine. He travels the world for the bank. He could do nothing for Harlow. I'm the one in the bank on a daily basis, which evidently makes me an enticing target for blackmail.
That is what I needed.
Thank you, Mrs. Rabe. Knowing the lengths that Harlow will go to is helpful, albeit more than disturbing.
Mr. Bickle was trying to help us, but now he's gone. I don't know what to do.
I shall do all I can to get evidence against Harlow, Mrs. Rabe.
Very well. Here's the note I received. You must be careful as well. Please don't put yourself in danger.
Mrs. Rabe, we do hope you will reconsider helping us with our banking needs. We've given you ample time to reach a decision on your own, but we are beginning to lose our patience. We know your husband would appreciate it if you were to see the value in our working together. Shall we expect a response by week's end? Best to keep this between us, if you understand our meaning. Circle button.
Some evidence worth hanging on to.
Thank you. I hope it's not too late.
Now, to find Mr. Bickle's other two friends.
If I thought that we could leave this forever, I don't think the only pub in Hogsmeade. On second thought, I'd rather be the one drinking the fire whiskey than pouring it. I plan to have enough galleries one day that I
Otto Dibble works at Gladrags. I should check there.
Please tell me you didn't take it.
Mr. Dibble, may I speak with you? It's about Theophilus Harlow.
I've nothing to say about him. May I interest you in a stunning cravat today?
Please, sir, I'd like to help. I spoke to Mrs. Bickle.
You know the Bickles? All right. But we must be discreet. Can't have Mr. Hill hearing this.
I know Mr. Hill. He was kind to me the day of the troll attack.
Oh, he's a good man. But even he wouldn't understand about Harlow. It started a few weeks ago. I was distracted, reading a note, when you-know-who came into the shop. I hid the note behind the counter and offered to help him. He stared at me for a moment, then asked me to check on an order he'd placed. I went into the storeroom to check on what turned out to be a non-existent order. When I returned, he was holding the note.
What was in the note?
It was a note from Rosie Hill, Mr. Hill's daughter. You see, we've been, well, secretly engaged these past 6 months. We haven't told Mr. Hill yet. I dare say he has higher hopes for her. Harlow advised me in no uncertain terms that my relationship with Rosie, not to mention my employment here, depended upon my cooperation.
What did he ask you to do?
It all happened so quickly. In an instant, he took a very expensive scarf from the counter, pocketed it, and smiled. He said, "Your secret is safe as long as I can supply my lady friend with delightful items like this every so often." I've been able to cover for his requests until now with some creative bookkeeping, but I can't keep it up for much longer. I'm terrified to say anything. I could never live without Rosie.
Thank you for talking with me. How are you hiding the extortion? Mr. Hill seems a fair man.
I met Mr. Hill the day of the troll attack. He was kind to me. Why don't you just tell him?
He's a lovely man, but when it comes to Rosie, I fear he loses all perspective. He'd see this as a grave betrayal. I'd lose my job instantly, and Rosie as well.
Thank you for talking with me. About the note. How are you hiding the extortion?
What have you been doing to keep the extortion a secret?
Well, as I mentioned, creative bookkeeping, and I've also been trying to cover the costs with my own savings, but I'm running out of money. Of course, none of this bodes well for my efforts to improve my circumstances and to be worthy of Rosie.
Thank you for talking with me. About the note.
Could you give me a bit more detail about the note? That might help me to identify it should I come across it.
It's on Rosie's special pink stationery. It has her monogram at the top, RH. That's how Mr. Hill would know it was real.
Thank you for talking with me.
Thank you for telling me. I'm gathering evidence to take Harlow down.
I would love nothing more than to see him rotting in Azkaban, but be careful. He's an awful man and incredibly dangerous. As for Rosie's letter, should you happen upon it, I have committed it to memory. You may destroy it immediately.
Understood.
Now hurry off before Mr. Hill returns. Where was I?
We're on the right track. Now to find the last of Mr. Bickle's friends. Agabus Filbert must be around here somewhere.
Hello there. Hello there.
Excuse me, Mr. Filbert. I wondered if I might speak with you about your dealings with Theophilus Harlow. I hope to ease Mrs. Bickle's mind by gathering evidence against him.
Oh, tragic what happened to Bickle. He wanted me to speak out against Harlow for an act of violence committed against me. But I feared Harlow's retaliation, and so I refused.
You should have spoken out.
If you had spoken out against him as Mr. Bickle asked, perhaps Harlow would be locked away by now.
Perhaps. But perhaps I would have suffered a similar fate.
You said that Harlow committed an act of violence against you. Could you tell me what happened?
Before my extraordinary wife, Dulcibella, passed away, she had just completed a small book of poetry. As a surprise for her birthday, one she never had the chance to celebrate, I had the book beautifully bound and plated in gold. One day, Harlow came calling. to punish me for having spoken out against the Neanderthals that comprise Rookwood's lot. Before I knew it, I'd been petrified, and Harlow was rifling through my home. He found the book of poetry, with its exquisite gold plating. I watched helplessly, lying there in my entranceway as he walked away with the book, laughing as he went. I was shaken to my core. Still am, to be honest.
I imagine you fear Harlow retaliating again, but do you mind if I share this information with Officer Singer?
I suppose I have no choice. This extortion can't go on forever. You can pass it on to anyone who may be willing to help. Harlow does not like people talking, as you already know.
I've spoken with Mr. Bickle's friends. Now to find Natty.
Level 25. AOP. Settings. Settings. Exit. Save game. Sandbikar's Lodgok's loyalty. Saving. A basis for blackmail. Save complete. Load game. Level. Gear.